All right, thanks, Chris. Good to see everybody. Excited to get a unexpected extra home game here. Obviously, not it's not the circumstances any of us would want it under, and certainly the thoughts and prayers go out to everybody affected by the hurricane. Certainly the Tulane football team, all that they've been going through, being relocated. Yeah, I know a lot of guys, from that area, so certainly thoughts and prayers with them, their families, the staff, the families. Excited that we were able to come together and find a way to make this happen, and give credit to both administrations for doing a lot of work in a short amount of time. It's, even me being on this side of it, you don't really realize all it takes to put together a football game and to host this many people, and to do it on short notice when you didn't expect the game to be here is a huge undertaking. But I think we wanted to be able to do it for Tulane, to be able to keep the game on. Excited to be able to play another game here, and I'm sure fans will respond, and we'll have a great atmosphere in there Saturday morning. So obviously can't wait to get started. The first game, always a ton of anticipation, and certainly this one no different for us. I like the way that we prepared. I feel like that we're ready to play. We're ready to finally go play somebody else. Ready to see what this team is going to look like here early in the season, how young guys are going to come along, the chemistry, adapting to kind of all that's new. It's all been a bunch of challenges for us, and we'll get a good litmus test here on Saturday about where we're at. So have a lot of respect for Tulane. Coach Fritz, have watched him for a long time, and he's one of the best. He's done a tremendous job there. He's been able to do it amid some staff changes, player changes. It's been just kind of constant level of high level football, and so a lot of respect for those guys. They had a really strong season last year, and we're agonizingly close to winning several more. So a lot of respect for the team, some really good players coming back, and be a fun challenge here for our opener. So with that, we'll jump into questions.
Okay, we'll go to Ryan Aber, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Lincoln, wanted to ask you about the running back situation there, especially behind Kennedy and Eric Ray. What's your short-term plan and long-term sort of options there behind those two guys?
Yeah, we've still got 4 guys there that we feel confident with. I mean, honestly, you can never predict that you're going to have what has happened. I mean, that's you name it. It's just been one of those years, and it's kind of all hit in one group, and went from being maybe the deepest position on the team to obviously taking a lot of unexpected hits. So that's part of it. I think of any position group on the team, this was probably the one most built to weather it. So I guess in some ways lucky that it did come at this group, and we still have 2 very good experienced players there. And then I've been real impressed with Jayden Knowles and Todd Hudson. I really have. I mean, honestly, even before the latest departure, both those 2 were certainly going to play for us. I mean, there was no question about it. So excited about those guys. We got 4 that we feel good about. And as far as I think that'll be primarily what we use. But us, we've got several other different skill sets on this football team, and we'll keep trying to figure out the best way to use everybody.
Eric Bailey, across the world.
Kind of staying on that same mode. Do you expect the top 2 guys to get even more carries than maybe years past the top 2 guys would have got? And also, is Jeremiah Hall someone you could see planning in that, similar to what you did at Iowa State a few years ago?
Yeah, the top 2 guys I think could. I think it certainly makes sense that they could have an opportunity to both be very productive. Maybe closer back to the Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon days. When we got both those guys pretty involved. So I think you could. Certainly we're going to rely heavily on those 2, no doubt about it. And as far as Jeremiah, I would put him in the list of guys that have played a lot of snaps on this offense, that are very versatile, that I think mentally and physically could handle it. But I certainly don't think he's the only one, but he's absolutely an option for us there. I mean, he as far from a player's perspective, he knows our offense as good as any guy that we have.
Lincoln, I know you sometimes don't like talking about guys that aren't here, but given the strange situation, I wanted to ask about Trey Bradford. Can you address what happened or how that all went down? Were you surprised, I think as everybody else was, that ended the way it did?
I was. I mean, I honestly, not to keep anything from you guys, I would love to explain what happened. I really don't have an explanation. So, I mean, I'm certainly not trying to keep anything. It was, a strange situation. It's part of the, it's part of the deal with the transfer portal. And then even in a COVID year, you're bringing in some people that you just flat out know less about. I mean, you can do all the homework and all you want, but you just don't know. And I will say, up to this point, I mean, the transfers we brought in, I mean, the majority of these guys have been fabulous. I mean, I'm excited to obviously see them play, here on Saturdays this fall. But I mean, within our program, buying into our culture, being good teammates. I mean, these guys by and large have exceeded expectations. But on that one, we swung and we obviously missed and made a mistake.
Lincoln, how does DeMarco handle all of this? You mentioned there's so many things that are out of his control. Has it been tough for him? What's been your advice to sort of get him through this?
No, he's a pretty constant, very consistent guy in terms of his mentality. I think he's weathered ups and downs in his own career, and I think, he's been in locker rooms, he's seen situations happen. So, no, I think he's got a lot of confidence in the guys in there, and that's been our focus, is we're going to coach the guys that are in there and feel good about that. And so, no, I don't think so at all. I don't think he's been rocked by it. He's, again, a very, very steady guy and a great person to handle the room in any situation, even one like this. So I think he's going to continue to coach our guys that are in there at a high level and doing everything that he can to get them ready to play. So, maybe going through what we all did last year has made us a little hardened to it. But it's just like, when something like this comes up or you move a game, it's like, all right, what's up next? And that's been our mentality.
Yeah, Coach, I was actually wanting to dig into that a little bit more. It seems like, most of the changes would affect Tulane and like maybe the OU game operations people, but how does this change in situation affect you, your planning, anything like that?
Not much. I mean, really, we don't get on a plane. I mean, other than that, our Friday schedule for a home game is slightly different just because of that. But I mean, not much at all. I mean, preparation will be the same. It's going to be a little warm outside, whether we were playing in New Orleans or playing here. I think the biggest thing for us was being able to communicate with the guys and with their families right away, because you had so many families that were planning, to come there and now have to switch plans around. So we told the guys it's kind of two different categories. There's the family side, the planning, all that stuff, which we'll handle that for the team. Again, it's instead of a plane ride, we're going to be on a bus to our hotel and a bus back over to the stadium. Other than that, I mean, you guys know us. We love playing everywhere. Excited we get another one. But if they'd have told us it was a neutral site, if they would have told us it was anywhere on this planet, we'd have been ready to play.
Hey, Lincoln, I was wondering if you could rewind to when Jayden Knowles showed up on campus, transferring from SWAZU. And what did you know about him? What did you expect from him? It sounds like his meteorology love is a big part of why you guys were where he ended up. But just rewind on that a little bit and what you remember from that.
Yeah, I remember his name coming across Drew Hill's desk, and we got a chance to see his film and knew he was interested in transferring here, and we liked him enough on tape that we felt like, no question that we would, let him walk on and thought he could come be a productive member. And then, honestly, I learned more about the meteorology after he was on the team. I remember a couple of guys saying something about it, and then obviously, the clip that went, viral on social media happened. And yeah, now, I mean, everybody, that's just kind of what you know him as. I mean, he's the weatherman. And, we bust on him a little bit. We got a report from our weather guys the other day, and it was in training camp. We knew there was going to be some weather, but they said, hey, lightning, we're all going to be good. So we go to rugby fields where we typically do training camp, and we're not on the field for 2 minutes. Boom, huge lightning strike. Everybody just starts looking at him like it was his fault. So it was pretty funny. So yeah, we bust on him if we get a bad forecast. But and you can hear the guys making comments. Like if he makes a good rain, it's all, somebody will say it's sunny and nice, and bad, something bad, say it's cloudy and stormy, and you hear all kinds of it. So we've had fun with it, and it's cool that that kid's been able to come here and kind of attack his passion. So, yeah, pretty cool story.
John Hoover.
Yeah, Lincoln, you've spoken in the past about the changes that are coming in college football and how maybe there might be some unforeseen consequences. Is this the Trey Bradford thing? Is that one of those consequences where maybe they didn't think it through? Like, sure, you can transfer wherever you want. Oh, now you can transfer back wherever you want. Is that one of those deals where it's like, what are you supposed to do as a coach?
Yeah, it is. You never know people's, true intentions on it. And again, especially in the COVID environment has certainly complicated it. I mean, even hopefully soon when, maybe we're not dealing with COVID, it's still going to be an issue. But yeah, I mean, you just don't. That was a different situation. You get guys like Wanye or Keyshawn or guys like that we recruited out of high school. We knew a little bit about. You feel like you've gone through, even though they didn't sign with you immediately. If a guy ends up transferring back, you feel like you've been through a little bit of that process and learned a little bit about these kids. And it's never even 100% there. But yeah, certainly these transfers as they're going back and forth, it is more unpredictable. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, in some ways, more about the player because they've played college football, but you may know less about all the other stuff because you didn't go through a normal process. So there's certainly some give and take there. And, so we're trying to be very diligent when we bring in a transfer of doing our homework. And we were with Trey. I mean, again, you're not going to hit on every single one. I mean, as far as you look at the whole group of transfers that we brought in, I mean, again, from buy-in and culture guys and guys doing the right thing, we've batted a tremendous percentage. But, we missed on this one. I mean, we flat out did. And so, you're going to continue to go back, learn, evolve your processes, keep trying to figure out, like we would in any situation, whether it was a transfer, high school recruit, if we did miss, why did we miss? What did we miss? Could we have seen this? Sometimes we find things that we could do better, and sometimes there's things that come up that you I don't know how you would have known. And but we've got to control the things that we can, and if there's things there that we can do better, then I promise you we're looking to do that.
Real quick, do you bring that up with the FCA in rule changes, the meetings, the rule meetings that you attend?
Yeah.
This is something that happened to us, and we want to address it.
No question. Yeah, I mean, I think Todd Berry and those guys have been great as far as us being able to reach out and talk to about issues that come up, issues that maybe you feel like prevent you from doing your job at a high level. And and I think the transfer policy, all that's going on with that are still constantly evolving. I think we all knew when this started that there was going to be some hiccups, there was going to be some missteps, and maybe, as we get a little more data on it and all of us coaches, all the players kind of get a little more experience with it, hopefully we can continue to kind of tighten it down and make it better. Mm-hmm.
Come over to the right, Andy Staples.
Yeah, with the amount of D linemen that Alex prefers to roll into games, how much has that changed the level of competition and practice over the last couple of years?
A lot. It's I think for a lot of reasons. I think one, the scheme, in our system here is so D-line friendly and allowing, I think every D lineman walks on the field with knowing they got an opportunity to make a play, and I think that is, exciting for our guys. I think just the opportunities to make plays with the snaps that you have. And that was one big thing we identified with him coming in, is we wanted to build a D-line that you just can't go play 80 snaps and play at the same level as if you played 50 snaps. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good a shape you're in. You have one guy 50 at his best and one guy 80 at his best. The guys 50 are going to look better than the other guy's 80. It just is what it is. And so, but that's taken time. I mean, it's taken recruiting. It's taken changing the bodies of some of these guys. As you see, I don't think we have a D lineman right now over 300 pounds. It's kind of taken the development, moving pieces, guys that can play multiple positions. But there's no question it's created competition, and I think just a lot of opportunities. I mean, I think our players see that, if I'm a starter, I got a chance to get a lot of reps. But even if I'm a 2, even if I'm a 3, I'm going to have a chance to go in and impact the game and a chance to go make plays and show the coaches if I'm a 3, why should I be a 2? Or if I'm a 2, why should I be a 1? And so, no, it's kept it healthy. We've played at a higher level. Our effort level, playing relentless, has been better. I think because of that, we're also our younger guys that maybe in previous years maybe wouldn't have been playing much or at all. They're playing a bigger chunk, so they're developing and getting more ready to be ones maybe later on in their career. So it's been a healthy cycle. It's kind of taken bringing all those things together for it to work how I think we all envisioned when Alex and the new staff came in. But it's, I think it's certainly been the right path.
Calvin talks about positionless football and kind of where it's going, but does that free you up in recruiting to just say, find the best big-bodied athletes instead of just getting slotted into this guy has to be 310 pounds or whatever?
It does, and I think it also, causes you to maybe miss less because, again, with these guys, almost similar to the other question, but more on with the physical traits is you can't always predict how these guys' bodies are going to develop when they get here. You may peg a guy, he's 235 pounds coming to high school, and you think, he's going to be an edge guy, be an end, be a rush linebacker for us. And all of a sudden he gets in there and the body just blows up and he's 265, 270 pounds. And you start thinking, well, maybe he's more of a 3 technique. So now you're exactly right. For us, it's more about let's get the best front guys that we possibly can. Let's develop them. And we want guys that have a wide range of skill sets to play multiple positions or even in our scheme, you could be a 3 technique your entire time and play in all different gaps, attacking all different kinds of offensive linemen. So even if you maybe stay at the same position, the jobs that we ask, because we have so much movement and so many creative things up front, you better be able to do all that well or it limits us and what we can call when you're in the game.
Lincoln, recalling where you were last year going into your opener with regard to COVID and roster management, just how crazy that was for you all. Where are you now? You feel better about your management, the program's management of the virus? Are there still sleepless moments for you leading up to a game, knowing you still have guys that might be in some limbo?
Sure. No, I definitely feel better relative to last year. We're 95% plus vaccinated. Staff's basically entirely vaccinated, and so I think. You feel better because there is some degree of protection, and because most of us have been through this a little bit, you've learned how to deal with certain things as they come up. But like everybody out there right now, this Delta variant is obviously it's a serious deal, and it's maybe some of that degree of security or comfort that we all felt there for a while has started to be diminished a little bit, and I know it certainly has within our walls. So we're honestly, we're closer right now from a protocol standpoint to where we were last year than maybe I thought we would be right now. There's still a lot of things that we're having to modify to try to help and ensure that our guys are in the best positions they can be, both staff and players. So you still feel its presence, and I think as you get closer to game week, we're now, every positive test likely means, we play 9 straight weeks. So every positive test from here on out likely means 2 games minimum. That for a staff member, for a player, you feel it a little more right now. It just when it starts costing you games, it's just a different type feel. So I think it's on everybody's minds, and we're trying to find the right place to be with, again, some majority of people vaccinated. You don't want to just be too rigid. But at the same time, you got to realize what's going on with this Delta variant. We certainly don't want to get behind or dig ourselves in a hole. So it's not an easy balance right now.
Do you anticipate having a full complement of guys?
For this Saturday, I do. I don't have anybody right now that I would mark as out today, other than Ryan Peoples, who I think we discussed before, not COVID related. But we're all kind of back to living day to day there too.
Lincoln, Spencer comes into this season with, the highest level of height that you can have. Have you taken any steps to try to temper that, protecting from that, or counseling with that, or have you just used your normal protocols and culture that you normally have?
We've talked about it. We certainly have. It was a little different conversation going into last year. You know, last year was a little bit more, you know, kind of year one. You need to, you know, take a step back, take it all in. There's going to be new challenges, you know, and there'll be new challenges this year as well. But I think the conversation this year has been more about it's going to be a daily fight for him to just stay focused on the things that are going to matter and things that are going to make the difference in the end, and realize that doing those little things well on the field, off the field, are going to be what determines your success, not what somebody writes or some outside expectation. And so we try to keep him focused on, you know, meeting his own and our expectations, and him being a productive member of this team. And you know, and I think that's why you saw that he was, you know, chosen as one of our captains. You know, I think he's done a good job of that so far. I think he's handled a lot of the things on the outside. It doesn't. I certainly haven't seen that affect his day to day. I mean, he's practiced at an extremely high level. He's a much better player right now than he was at any point last year.
Left, Mason Young.
Lincoln, wanted to ask you about a guy that's put a little ball for you and for Tulane as well, Michael Jones. I know maybe his career on the field at OU didn't pan out maybe how you kind of thought it would, but can you still see somewhat the impacts of his leadership and his print on this team from the time that he was here?
No, he was great. Michael was great. He was a coach favorite, was a player favorite, just a kind of one of those guys that was always for the team and did kind of anything necessary to do it, had a positive attitude, had a lot of different roles, made a lot of big plays here, but always was a team-first guy and very competitive. So, no, he made us better during his time here. We had a blast coaching him. When he made the move, we understood it. You know, it wasn't one of those ones that we've had from time to time where you kind of scratch your head a little bit. We understood it, and I'm glad to see that he's doing well, but was certainly one of our favorites while he was here.
Flip side of that, you talked about when you first got here wanting to impact players off the field. Is it encouraging when you see someone, in his case, for one example, someone who's left the program really still being impacted by what they experienced here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they're all going to leave the program at some point, you know, whether it's to another program, whether it's the job world, whether it's the NFL, whatever it is. And so, no, that's one of our, you know, that's one of the best things I think you can do as far as a program, to see, you know, if you're being successful in that regard as far as impacting their lives and the way you're trying to mold them and shape them here is what do they do when they leave, you know, and are they being productive? Are they being successful? Have they taken some of that? And so whether it's him or anybody else, and no matter what field they're having success, seeing those guys have success that way is about as good as it gets for us.
Like you said, you announced your captains, but I wanted to specifically ask you about Caleb Kelly, you know, a guy that's been in your program for a long time. What does it do? How beneficial is it having him just in your program and for so long, what he's done?
Yeah, I you know, when the team voted, I was excited to see that. It wasn't a surprise, but yeah, you think about that guy's journey. I mean, from a, you know, high-profile recruit, one of the most highly recruited guys that you know we've signed here, comes in, has a large degree of success. You know, by the end of the season on that Sugar Bowl team, you know, he's one of our best playmakers on defense. I think up to this point, he's had either 4 or 5 position coaches now. You know, he's played in 2 defensive schemes. He's had some of the highest of highs. He's had some of the lowest of lows. You know, a couple of knee surgeries. All that's gone on. And I told the team the other day when we announced him as a captain, I mean, you think about him coming into this year, you know, of all the guys that maybe could have said, well, maybe we want to take a look somewhere else. You know, maybe I'm a West Coast kid. You know, I've had a lot of positives here, but a lot of things just hadn't gone my way. Maybe I go transfer and go do this somewhere else. Or maybe I've had these 2 knee injuries. Maybe I don't play football anymore. You know, and for that guy to stay here and want to be a part of this was, I just think, spoke volumes to how much he cares about this place, this program, how much it means to him, you know, how much he wants to go chase a championship with this team and this group of guys. And he's an Oklahoma guy. And so I just ton of character, and he's a great example. Again, I think for all young players out there, he's a great example. And you know, he's going to have a lot of great moments here this year, but it was really cool to see him announced as a captain, but in some way it was kind of like, not the end of the journey, but in some ways it was kind of like, you know what, this is why I did this, you know, to come back and be a leader on this team and be an impact player here in my last season. So it was a cool moment. The team, they were excited when everybody was announced, the other three captains, but there was a little bit different reception for Caleb, which was pretty cool.
James Hale?
You know, Lincoln, throughout training camp, you talked about the great competition you had in the offensive line. You have a lot of good players there. So as you get ready to go into your first game, how has it shaken out, and what are you going to do there going into the Tulane game?
Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. You know, we've started to mess around with a few different lineups, but I think, you know, it's certainly starting to narrow in. You know, I think Tyrese Robinson will start at right tackle. I feel pretty certain of that. I believe Chris Murray will start at right guard. Center could kind of go either direction right now, probably either Rame or Conjal there right now. You know, I feel like Marquis Hayes has solidified himself as a starting left guard. The other tackle position, I think we'll play multiple guys, and I think we will at both tackle positions. But between, you know, Eric Swinson, Anton Harrison, Wanye Morris, I think those three along with Tyrese, we feel like we've got four pretty good tackles. And so yeah, I'm excited about it. I think we'll try to play a few different lineups in this first game to get everybody out there on the field and kind of see how they do in a game situation. But you know, they've been productive. I like the mentality of the group right now. I'm excited to see them play.
Myron Patton on the left.
I know you say you're ready to play somebody else. Is there something about a game you can only learn about, say, like your defense, that only a game can really teach you? Something you want to find out that you don't know right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot. Games just feel different. They just do. I think defensively, you're always looking to see how do you tackle. I mean, I think from second one, the tackle, the physicality of the tackles, you know, being able to limit explosive plays, I think is a huge one that we're excited to see. Obviously, getting a chance to go live on a quarterback, you know, we don't do that, but we've got, you know, some guys up front that do a good job of getting after the quarterback, and so can we create the type of pressure and cause the turnovers and all the havoc back there that sometimes you don't quite see in a practice setting where you're protecting a quarterback. And then one big thing, you know, for us has been, you know, we weren't a very smart football team early in the season last year. You know, mental mistakes, penalties, kind of all the above, and that's been a huge push for us. You know, we finished last season as I think one of the smartest football teams in the country. We were tremendous at it at the end of the year, but can we do that early? And we've pushed like crazy for that throughout the entire camp, both with the plan, the emphasis with the players, emphasis from the coaching staff, and so I'm excited to see how smart we can go out there and play in game one.
Curtis Fitzpatrick.
Lincoln, back to one of the transfers, Mike Woods. What did you see in him when you were looking at bringing him in, and then has he done anything to kind of exceed what you thought of him?
Yeah, he's one of those in the category that's been a great teammate to have in here, great guy to coach, bought in culture, everything, day one. So he's been a joy to have. You know, we got to see a lot of game tape on him, you know, and he was very productive and impressive, and he's backed that up here. He's you know, a big, very explosive human being that can really go. He can really go up and high point the ball. Talented player. So excited to see him play for live. You know, I haven't been able to do that yet, but I think he could be a weapon out there. He'll certainly be in that rotation, and we'll get to see a lot of him on Saturday.
A couple more back to Jason Kersey.
Yeah, Lincoln, wanted to ask you about Brian Darby. He's a kid who played a lot of running back in high school. Given the talent you have in the receiver room, is Brian a guy who could potentially play running back for you this year?
Yeah, he's another guy I would say that's a possibility. He was a good player in high school, kind of a do-it-all guy. And so, you know, we've got several of our guys, you know, in that receiving core as well that were able to move around and do some different things at high school and that we think are pretty good with the ball in their hands. So, you know, we're not going to jump the gun here. You know, we may look at a few guys here early and see what they do, look at a few guys behind the scenes. But I would say right now, I mean, you know, if obviously if we have injuries or lose other people, we're going to have to adjust. But right now, we feel pretty good with those 4 guys right now going in.
Coach Michael Pratt had a pretty good year last year for Tulane. You as a guy who watches quarterbacks, what stands out to you about him?
Yeah, really poised throughout the year. You know, they scored a lot of points. You know, they were pretty good offensively. I think you see with him is he's an active guy. I mean, he can. That's always one thing you look at first defensively. You know, is how does he move around? You know, can he beat you with his legs? Can he beat you in scramble situations? And he certainly can. So, you know, impressed by him, and you know, we're certainly expecting to see a natural jump for him, like you would with any quarterback going into the next year of starting. That you know, you feel like you're going to see a big jump, and we'll probably see a much better player than we saw on tape, and we saw a very good player on tape. So we'll have to do a good job containing him. Again, he's active, can move around, can really beat you with his legs, and I think that'll be one of the big keys for us Saturday is not letting him get out in space and make plays.
Okay, last one, Teddy Carlson.
Hey, wanted to ask one other question, Lincoln, about Spencer. The story goes that Tim Kish actually was the first one to see him. Wondering if you could remember what Tim said to you the first time he brought up Spencer, and have you gotten any texts or calls from Tim in the last year saying, "I told you so"?
Yeah, no, it's right. We were in the Bud Wilkinson. We were still in that facility, and Tim came into my office one day and said, "Hey, there's this guy in Arizona, and he had all his obviously previous connections from being out there. That's got this young quarterback." He said, "He's just going to be a freshman. You probably, you know, you may be too early to look at him." And so I popped him on right then, and you could, you know, the tape jumped out, and so. Yeah, we made contact pretty quickly there with his coaches, and then the recruiting process started. But no, Tim found him. I mean, there's 100%, along with a lot of other good players on this roster, Brian Asamoah and several others that Tim Kish found. So he always had a knack for finding some of those guys that maybe were under the radar, or finding guys early in their career before people knew about them. And yeah, no, he's stayed in touch throughout Spencer's years, and I think he's always been excited to see, you know, Spencer doing well along with these other guys, and he's somebody I still, you know, continually stay in touch with. So he deserves a ton of credit.
Is there anything about identifying a guy so young that, I mean, does that take, I don't know, does it take something, a special eye to say, here's a 14-year-old that we think can project to be a starter?
Yeah, I think, you know, Tim was a grinder. You know, he worked really hard at it, and there just wasn't going to be guys in his area or kind of under his watch that were going to go under the radar. And so you always knew that there wasn't going to be somebody there that you didn't know about. And no, he was. I think his years of experience was just very confident in his evaluations, regardless of how a guy's age or how many stars he had or any of that. He didn't care about it. You know, it's kind of like projecting Brian Asamoah to projecting him to play linebacker. You know, there wasn't much of that on tape at all, and all of a sudden you jump into, you know, now he's, you know, physically speaking, I mean, he's kind of what you want. And but so many people wouldn't have done it and didn't do it. And so Tim had a great eye for that, and anytime he brought somebody to me, I could trust that there was going to be something to it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks everybody.